3-month campaign and she was supposed to introduce herself to the American people. No wonder people were Googling, did Joe Biden drop out? And so...
No. No. You're saying 3 months wasn't long enough? It was too long.
So apparently some folks are still clutching their pearls over Kamala Harris losing last year's election. Yep, it's 2025 and denial is still trending in certain Democrat circles. Reality called Kamala didn't answer.
Not like we don't know in Britain, for instance, when you have a short election, it's not like you don't know who the leader of the party is for months and years before that.
But you're either the person who's Googling the day before, did Biden drop out, or you know in a week. You know, did anyone in this audience not know enough about Kamala Harris pretty much after a week?
It's been 8 months and believe it or not, people are still pointing fingers everywhere except Kamala Harris. But Bill Maher, he's done playing along. He put the blame right where it belongs on Kamala and didn't blink when a few delusional liberals tried to defend her on his show. As always, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's break this down.
The candidates, especially the Democrats, do to get voters annoys them. The constant texting. Did you get the texts like from Tim Walz every 5 minutes and the, like always begging for money and knocking on doors? And we've got people knocking on doors. We don't want knocking on your door. Who in this day and age wants someone knocking on? Kids don't even like it when a phone call. That's like too much of a invasion of their privacy.
Bill kicked things off by rattling off every reason voters found Kamala Harris insufferable, and honestly, he wasn't wrong. Every trait, every word salad, every fake laugh, all of it pushed voters away. Democrats had one job: craft a coherent message. Instead, they spent years pandering to the woke mob, then acted shocked when it backfired. No strategy, just gimmicks, guilt trips, and gaslighting. Classic.
Done anything yet, but I understand the.
This was the problem. You know, there was a 2014 study that showed that Fortune 500 companies were more likely to pick a female CEO if the company was struggling, basically setting women up for the big job, but to also fail. If they did well, fine. But if they failed, like, look, we have a female CEO while failing. And that's what I feel like they did to Kamala Harris. When Biden refused to step aside and not run again, he was supposed to be that bridge. He backed off on that promise due to arrogance. And then he drops out after a catastrophic debate performance, and they set Kamala Harris up to...
Long-time viewers know dumb takes from the left are par for the course. But this one, Hall of Fame worthy. Sarah Isgur actually claimed that Kamala was randomly plucked off the political bench to replace Joe Biden like she hadn't been VP for 4 years. For very public, very cringeworthy years. Revisionist fiction at its finest. Maher, to his credit, called it out on the spot. Because no voters didn't forget Kamala. They remembered and rejected every awkward moment.
No. You're saying 3 months wasn't long enough? It was too long.
It was long enough.
It was long enough.
If they had had a primary...
It's not that they didn't have time to introduce. They met someone and didn't like them.
If they had had a primary, they wouldn't have picked her. And if they had, she would have been able to rough out those edges that then she basically has to start from scratch with a campaign team she didn't hire that didn't like her, right? It was his team. And so I wonder if that next Democratic person, maybe someone's not even on our radar yet. Because frankly, when you look at the history of who's there's two types. The one who waited in line, who was next in line, and then there's the one who comes out. That's Obama, that's Clinton, that's Reagan to some extent.
Sarah Isgur is still pushing the martyr narrative that Kamala was set up to fail. Please. The only thing Kamala was set up for was glowing coverage and softball interviews. If anything, she had a golden runway. She was the Democrats' best bet against Trump and still lost. Why? Not because of her gender or race. It was the non-stop woke wordplay, the tone-deaf messaging, and a party allergic to common sense. Democrats didn't empower Kamala, they drowned her in nonsense.
I'll side with Sarah about this one thing. If you're the sitting vice president for a president who has, throughout his entire term in office, been sitting at about somewhere between a 35 and 40% approval rating. People view the Biden administration as a failure. We can have a long discussion about whether they are right about that, about the economy, but the perceptions of the economy were that people thought inflation was too high, people thought we were on the wrong track, 75% wrong track numbers, and this huge inflation overhang. You're the sitting vice president, and you get put on elevated to the top of the ticket 107 days ahead of the election. I think that is a very high degree of difficulty put on anybody. And I do not think she is the perfect candidate. I tend to agree with Sarah that probably in a fully litigated primary, she probably would not have been the Democratic nominee, but will never know.
And just when you thought the excuse factory was running dry, John Heilman rolled up with more spin. The same guy who swore Bidenomics is booming now says the economy actually made Kamala unelectable. So which is it? Because not long ago CNN and MSNBC were singing lullabies about inflation being transitory and groceries being a figment of your imagination. Now suddenly the economy's a problem. Even Bill Maher was visibly done with the mental gymnastics.
Never been anybody who's had the difficulty of that situation, elevated that late in the campaign.
Why? What? To run away from
Bill, I don't know if you know this, but the Vice President of the United States is basically shoved in a broom closet for 3.5 years.
I know.
Like, you couldn't.
She was more popular in there.
Yes, well.
I mean, there's this idea that in a mass media age, that 107 days
is not long enough to know somebody.
You are way overestimating the American people in terms of what they.
No.
You have someone like Donald Trump has become a universally known, understood, loved by some, hated by others over the course of being omnipresent for 8 years.
Okay.
Barack Obama becomes president of the United States after running for 2 years as president, runs a 50-state primary, is on television, does dozens of Democratic debates.
Now hang on, Bill Maher is about to jump in. But before he does, let's set the record straight. Kamala Harris was not shoved into some political broom closet. She had real responsibilities. The border crisis. That was her gig. And she blew it spectacularly. Millions poured in while she ducked the actual border for months. And when offered platforms like the Joe Rogan podcast to actually connect with people, she ghosted. Kamala wasn't sidelined. She was center stage and she choked.
Ever watched this show? But I had Michael Douglas on this week.
Yeah.
at the top, we were talking about this,
And he made a very good point that every other country in the world can do it in months, sometimes weeks. Why can every other country do it in that short a period of time? Are they all so much brighter than America? I don't think so.
Well,
mostly parliamentary. I mean, there's literal reasons, right? We don't have a parliamentary system.
I mean,
we also have a First Amendment. We don't make people campaign this whole time. The American people want to give them $20, and so they can afford it. I mean, small dollar donors are arguably the worst thing that's happened to our politics, as it turned out.
It's a small dollar donor didn't make $20 billion. No.
A lot of it.
Kamala started out with momentum. Historic firsts, media buzz, the whole works. But then the woke overdrive kicked in. Americans didn't want lectures on pronouns while gas hit $5 a gallon. They wanted leadership. What did they get? Word salads and awkward laughter. Kamala didn't lose because of who she is, she lost because voters were tired of the nonsense. Trump, for all his flaws, spoke in plain language and promised solutions. Kamala promised vibes.
The person who's Googling the day before, did Biden drop out? Or in a week. Did anyone in this audience not know enough about Kamala Harris pretty much after a week to make a decision? Yeah, people.
How are
It's
you gonna
ridiculous.
enforce that?
We just get sicker of them.
what? So
How are you going to tell people
they
they
say
can't
the
talk
same
about politics?
What?
How with free speech that I know you love?
Yeah.
How are you going to limit people's ability to run for office?
I'm not limiting. We're not making a law.
Bill, are you?
Isn't there somehow
Of
ability
course.
to reduce amount of money involved
Get
in
rid of
politics?
super PACs by making it no limits, full disclosure. 24-hour disclosure.
We could
should
fix
have
democracy
instant
in a minute. Get rid of gerrymandering, get rid of money in politics, get rid of the electoral college.
Water.
No, none of that is. We're going to keep working with this constipated system that we live with.
Bill Maher dropped a truth bomb most people missed in today's media landscape. Voters size up a candidate in under 60 seconds. Trump had a message: make America great again. Clear. Memorable. Love it or hate it, it landed. Now name one slogan, just one from Kamala's campaign that resonated. Go ahead, we'll wait. Nothing. Exactly. Kamala's pitch wasn't vision, it was vapor. A collection of empty lines, awkward cackles, and zero connection.
Intention is that no people were late deciders in the election.
No, they
Nobody
were. I
decided.
talked about them last week.
Right.
Christmas Eve shoppers,
So those
I
people.
call
So
them.
those people apparently needed longer than 90
they
days.
would have been undecided.
Always going to be.
Exactly.
They were always
That's why I call them.
I called them, John, I said this last week.
I call them Christmas Eve shoppers. My father was one. People who don't buy their presents until the Christmas Eve night. He would go into the store, and he wouldn't feel like he could do it until he was fully in the spirit. He had to be in the store on Christmas Eve with Santa and all the fucking elves and everything that was going on.
By this point, John Heilman was flailing. His last-ditch defense. That voters didn't have enough time to figure out Kamala. Seriously. In an age where 30-second TikToks shape public opinion, we're supposed to believe 3 months wasn't enough? Please. America has one of the longest election cycles in the world. The real issue wasn't time, it was the lack of a message. Kamala was handed the MIC, the spotlight and the moment. And she blew it. From the border crisis to her forgettable campaign trail, voters saw through it all. And Bill Maher made it painfully clear the Democrats' excuse parade isn't just pathetic, it's why they keep losing touch. So if you're tired of the media sugarcoating failure and calling it historic, hit that like button, subscribe and turn on notifications. No spin, no fluff, just straight talk. See you next time.